Good afternoon, my listeners and my students at home. My name is Ikanyo Cosmas Isuchukwu, your government teacher. Today, we will be treating rule of law and fundamental human rights of a citizen. But before we proceed, here are the basic objectives of the study. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to define rule of law, identify principles of rule of law, define fundamental human rights. Students should be able to mention types of fundamental human rights. Students should be able to identify means of safeguarding fundamental human rights of a citizen, and also should be able to state limitations to fundamental human rights of a citizen. We start with the definition of rule of law. The phrase rule of law means absolute supremacy or predominance of law over everybody, both the rulers and the ruled, and all the decisions taken in a country. According to Professor A.V. Dicey, who propounded and popularized the theory of rule of law, he argued that those entrusted with the affairs of the state, like the president, governors, chairmen, etc., should be law-abiding and govern the people according to the provisions of the Constitution. The rule of law equally means that all the actions of government must not act according to their own will or how they feel, and must not misuse power. The phrase says that a government rules arbitrarily if it exercises power without any regard to establish laws of the land. Here are the main principles or features of rule of law. Number one, equality before the law. This principle states that all persons are equal before the law of the land, whether you are rich or poor, the president or governor. The law does not respect anybody, no matter your position in the society. Number two, supremacy of the regular law. This means that the rulers must rule the people according to law. Both the rulers and the ruled are under the law. No one should be punished except one has been found guilty by the law court. Number three, right to personal liberty or rights of the individual. This principle states that citizens of a given country should enjoy certain basic inalienable rights, and violation of these rights, they have the right to seek redress in the court. These individual rights, which are specified in most written constitutions, commonly referred to as fundamental human rights. Another principle includes that government should rule in accordance with the laws of the land and not arbitrary. This demands constitutionalism, which means strict adherence to the provisions of the Constitution. Another principle is punishment meant for an offender must agree with the offense he committed, as laid down by the law. Then another subtopic is fundamental human rights. What is fundamental human rights? Fundamental human rights are legal claims or entitlements which every citizen enjoys in a country and which the state has duty to protect and to guarantee. It also refers to those prerogatives and privileges which a citizen can legitimately enjoy by virtue of citizenship. Put differently, fundamental human rights are those basic inalienable rights which every citizen is bound to enjoy by law. Human rights are contained in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights articulated by the United Nations Organization UNO in 1948, and also entrenched in the constitutions of all member states of the organization. We have types of fundamental human rights. Human rights are categorized into four. Number one, social rights. What is social rights? These are the decent rights that enable us to relate and interact with other members of the society. which include right to life, right to education, right to association, etc. Number 2, economic rights. These are the rights which enable a citizen to engage in a profitable business of his choice for his economic advancement and for the progress of the state. Example, freedom to work and earn salary, right to form or join free trade association, right to acquire and own immovable property anywhere in Nigeria. Number 3, political rights. These are the rights of Nigerian citizens that enable them to participate in the affairs of the state through the right to vote. Political rights enable man to express and develop his political nature and potentials in the interest of the society. Examples of these rights include right to vote, right to contest, right to join political association of your choice, right to support any candidate of your choice, etc. Number 4, legal rights. Legal rights are those rights that enable a citizen to enjoy legal services and the protections of the law court. Example, right to access to law courts, right to fair and equal hearing, right to freedom of expression, thought, conscience, etc. Then we have means of safeguarding fundamental human rights. We have different ways by which human rights could be protected. 1, through Constitution. The entrenchment of fundamental human rights of a citizen in the Constitution is a way of safeguarding his or her rights. Number 2, the existence of the principle of rule of law, ensuring equality of all, is a way of safeguarding citizens' rights. Number 3, independence of the judiciary. The judiciary should be free from interference and control, both the executive and the legislature. Number 4, freedom of the press. The press should be free to serve as the watchdog for the rights of the citizens. Number 5, enforcement of law and order by the security agencies in the state equally protects citizens' rights. Number 6, quick dispensation of justice by the judges and magistrates in law court, because justice delayed is justice denied. Now then, let's look at limitations to fundamental human rights of a citizen. Number 1, emergency situation. When there is an outbreak of war or epidemic, people may be forced out of their homes to a refugee camp in order to protect their lives and properties. E.g. of emergency situation include flood issue, like now Nigeria is witnessing coronavirus issue. People's movement has been restricted, their freedom of association, worship, etc. Number 2 of the limitation include illiteracy and ignorance. An illiterate and ignorant person does not understand the meaning of human rights, and even if he does, he may not know what to do when his rights are violated. Number 3 of the limitation include unsound minds. A citizen with unsound mind suffering from insanity, we mean a person who is mentally deranged, will be deprived some of his rights if he is restricted in the interest of others. Another limitation is what? Age limit. Those beyond 18 years are considered as minor or underaged person, therefore cannot be punished by law because he acts before he thinks. Another limitation includes immunity clause. This is the privilege enjoyed by some public officers which protects them from being prosecuted while in office. For instance, the governor of a state cannot be dragged to court to answer for himself on case filed against him. Another limitation to fundamental human rights is dependency of the judiciary. Judges are not fully independent, since they are appointed by the executive arm of government. This does not enable the judges to discharge their duties without fear or favor, because he who pays the piper deters the tune. In summary, rule of law means absolute supremacy or predominance of law over everybody, both rulers and the ruled, and all the decisions taken in a country. Rule of law demands constitutionalism, which means strict adherence to the provisions of the Constitution. Fundamental human rights refers to those prerogatives or privileges which a citizen can legitimately enjoy by virtue of citizenship. Due to so many limitations placed on the right of the citizen, therefore, citizens should behave themselves according to the provisions of the Constitution. Otherwise, their rights would be limited or restricted. Now take down your assignment. From your understanding of the topic, define rule of law. Number 2, what is fundamental human rights? Number 3, narrate the incidents you have witnessed that led to the denial of a citizen's right, and submit your assignment to sacciago@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.